What's up, everybody, and welcome to the eCommerce Masters Podcast. I'm your host, Ethan Giffen, and CEO of Groove Commerce. And I'm excited here today to be talking about all things SEO with Rob Delory, who's the Enterprise SEO Advisor at Ahrefs. And what I first want to say is that this podcast is a video-first podcast. So if you'll go check out our YouTube channel at Groove Commerce and give us a like, give us a share, or leave us a comment, we love hearing from you. Rob, welcome to the show today.
Ethan, thanks for inviting me on. I appreciate it. I'm really looking forward to this.
Oh, yeah? Are you sure you're looking forward to it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'll talk about SEO anytime somebody gives me a chance.
Well, I'm excited to have you here on the show today. We're a big fan of Ahrefs. We love the tool. We love working with it. And quite frankly, I love seeing your content on LinkedIn and your travels. I know you were just recently in Singapore for the big Ahrefs event, which looked awesome. I really want to go to that airport, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, it was my first trip to Singapore. That's where our headquarters are. That's where we had the conference. But it was great being there, man. I can't wait to go back next time.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So tell me a little bit about how you got into the SEO business. Usually, like, people are real kind of scoundrels and pirates, or they're, oh, you? I mean, listen, I've been going to SEO conferences for 25 years, since 1999 at this point, and there's a cast of characters that show up there. So I would probably put you in a cast of characters as well.
As long as I get the pirate hat, then I'm good to go.
So how did you get into the business?
For me, I actually, years ago, I was in the printing industry and, doing direct mail and things of that sort. And that's when digital really started to take off. I started getting into selling web design. And I should really make sure I clarify on that. I'm more on the sales side, but I worked for many agencies for years, sat down. I literally have talked with thousands of businesses over the years about their strategies, what they're doing, what the recommendations I would make to them. But ultimately, SEO just became something that I was so intrigued by. I really started spending a lot of my own extra time learning more about it. And, here I am, I think about 12 plus years later, having worked with web design and a number of other, pay-per-click and so forth. But that's how I got into SEO. It still intrigues me till this day.
That's cool. That's cool. I mean, and listen, don't sell yourself short on that, right? Like you're out here like looking at sites, showing the product, talking about SEO. You're a part of all the things, and so I think there's just a lot of different hands and resources that go into something like this, right? And so I think you're carrying the flag for the industry, providing education, providing knowledge. All of that are kind of valid steps there of what people need. So tell our audience just a little bit about what Ahrefs is and who you kind of serve as your ideal customer.
Yeah, sure. Ultimately, we're a marketing intelligence platform for SEO, for digital marketing in general. We have more data on how websites are performing, keyword research. So ultimately, if you're a part of a large SEO team or even just a straightforward digital marketing team, or you're a small business owner who's trying to get insights into competitive analysis, understanding what the opportunities are out there for them before they put in all of the work, our platform's there to be able to provide that resource, that research and information for people to make decisions based on data rather than, hey, let's see what happens.
Yeah.
So ultimately, anything you need for having an all-in-one solution for SEO to be able to do research, run technical audits, and so forth, that's where our platform comes in.
Awesome. And it's for both folks like Groove that are agencies that have SEO practices, but it's also for individual companies and users that may want to leverage the platform as well, correct?
That's correct. And I always look at it from the standpoint of how far down the rabbit hole do you want to go? If you're a small business owner, and you're just looking for some basic information, but just want to have a really strong understanding of what's going on out there in search, in digital marketing, that's where our platform comes in. But for technical teams, you won't find a product that has more technical opportunities within it than ours.
Yeah, I think we really love the product from the technical standpoint. Well, we love all parts of the app, but we really leverage it from a technical standpoint, especially when talking to new folks that are interested in optimizing their sites, like looking for ongoing optimization. We're kind of trying to get people at that kind of holy grail, what is like a 91 or 92 kind of grade within the system, what they consider excellent, right? And so we're trying to get all of our folks, into that kind of range, because when they do, they tend to see results much faster when things are not holding Google back or the other search engines back from working.
Yep. I mean, again, even starting out from step one of a new website, or if you've had a website for years, sometimes you'd really be amazed at some of the small changes you can make that will lead to big improvements in results. So yeah. But thank you for saying that. Thank you.
Yeah. So, again, for listeners that aren't as aware of the product, you're able to load your website into Ahrefs. You are then able to perform an SEO audit, and then recurring audits around that. You can grant it access to your webmaster tools, your Google Analytics. There's a lot in there of how the sausage is made, but it's kind of cleaning up those technical errors and issues that are generally the first step out of the gate to make sure there isn't anything that's creating, causing anything that would prevent search from search engines from kind of scanning your site and kind of figuring out what the theme and what type of content that you have there. How do you answer? Do you ever have people ask you in your journeys that SEO isn't as important these days?
Oh, SEO is. I don't get that question as often as I used to. But to me, the answer is no. I mean, SEO is still probably the biggest driver of traffic to people's websites. It's something that you've got how many different search engines, how many new search engines that have come out recently. It's absolutely still relevant. It's still a huge percentage of the actual marketing channel that's out there and available. So for me, I used to have those conversations more often when SEO is fairly new. I usually don't get that question, but I'm excited you asked
it. Yeah. How do you think AI is affecting what you're doing with the app?
Oh my goodness! So we're going to take the whole conversation, and we can just talk about that for today. But
we absolutely.
AI transformative. It really is. Again, I've been doing this for a dozen or so years, heavily into search engine optimization, and I haven't seen anything that's going to really, I think, disrupt search over the next few years. When you're talking about some of these companies that have come out, Chat, of course, everybody knows ChatGPT, but even Perplexity and a number of these others out there, I really see that they're going to start gaining a lot more share, because Google was always the big one for the 20 years or so, and they're going to continue to be for a long time. But you're definitely going to see a lot of other companies that will start pulling some of those percentages away, I believe. But even Google itself, you're getting into AI with their AI overview, that zero click, right, that top of the search results that they're providing, whether intentional or not, they're definitely providing answers without people having to click as often. But again, we're talking about small percentages right now that possibly will grow, or we'll see if Google changes the direction. They've surprised me a number of times over the years.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see how that kind of evolves. And there's a lot of people within the industry have different feelings about Google kind of stealing people's content and other things. And that's a conversation for a whole other day to kind of talk about. one of the things that we actually had happen to us just last week was a prospect that kind of loaded his requirements for an e-commerce site migration into ChatGPT and asked for a list of agencies back that he should talk to, and we were on that list, right? So I think, I love it. I love it, but I think again, some of that is coming through, content being spidered and ingested, right? And I think making sure that your site can be spidered, ingested, and kind of learn from is going to really be like a piece, an effect of that. That's going to, you want to be seen in that. And I guess what is the other term? It's EEATS, the all of those types of panels of information that's gleaned from data and the hard coding of information within your site are all very, very important, with that. And I think it's really going to change the industry of how it works. And it's going to be very different for many folks. Because back in the day, I remember prior to starting Groove, I was director of e-commerce for a large global staffing firm, and I created the website, their website had 800 visits a month from Google, and I created this dynamic system of all their job postings that was optimized for state and cities and by job titles and industries. And it went from a 50-page website to thousands of job postings in individual categories, and all of that went to almost 1 million visits a month from Google. And I think that game is kind of changing. That old school kind of game is changing, but at the same time, it's like, how are you going to leverage the search engines to get people to see who you are?
Right. And to something that you said just a few moments ago of the prospect that reached out to you because I think you said they used ChatGPT and ended up finding you from there. The only reason that ChatGPT found you is because you had a presence online. Now, whether you were ranking for the term that they were searching for, no matter what, ChatGPT found you because of that. So even moving forward, a lot of people are starting to say, SEO, is it still as relevant as it was? You need to have that online presence even for those types of AI tools to be able to find you in the first place and then put you in their database. I'm not saying that they're stealing Google's search results per se. I'm just saying that you still have to do very similar work. Now, exactly what algorithms they're using, we don't know yet.
We don't know yet.
we don't know yet. I mean, it's all very new. I know everybody's been talking about it for a few years, but really people haven't been using it as as an alternative to search the way that they are now. They're finding pretty good results. And like you're saying, you're showing up in that result. It's because probably the work that you've done for SEO. I say probably because, again, I can't make any definitive statements because it's all too new.
It's all too new. It's all too new. Yeah. So what are you seeing, when you're talking to folks that are looking at the product? Like what kind of features are they looking for, right? Like how are they looking to use Ahrefs as within their campaigns?
Sure. Well, you had mentioned being able to do technical audits. That's absolutely important for search engines. They, being able to go ahead and make sure that their crawlers can crawl through your website, that you've got lots of things like structured data in place and you're sending the right signals. But with our actual strategy, if you will, of being able to determine what type of backlinks are possible out there for us, how are our competitors doing? That's probably one of the largest things, the largest opportunities I keep hearing about lately is people wanting to know what's going on with my competitors. Why, are they succeeding in certain areas? Can I go ahead and get that information? A lot of people don't even realize there's so much information. You can really reverse engineer success that's out there using our platform and doing so.
Yeah, I think that's very, very true, right? I think that if you're able to look at competitor sites through the tools, you're able to determine what kind of links do they have, what kind of strategies are they using to build links, right? How many do they have? Like what Do they have a bunch of trash links? Then you kind of know what strategy they're using for that. Do they have like Forbes, which is kind of a hot thing that people are, always talking about Forbes. What is it that is driving that kind of footprint and then being able to duplicate that in many ways? And so, I think there's still, there's some highly, highly, highly competitive keywords, mortgages, Viagra, all of those kind of things are going to always be like highly competitive, but there's many industries have a huge opportunity to drive more with that. And so I see, people that are publishing a lot more content these days tend to be the ones that are winning. I was at a conference in the fall called PubCon, a big SEO kind of internet marketing conference in Las Vegas, and just a lot of talk around AI generated content versus human generated content, how it ranks, how it performs, people that are publishing content at scale versus just publishing, 2, 3, 4 blog posts a month. We're really thinking that people need to step up a lot of their publishing to a certain level. Like, you don't have to be publishing 100 pieces of content a month, but I do think Google, if you're publishing kind of somewhere between 15 and 30 things a month, Google, like on a daily basis or every other day basis, Google starts to think that these folks are interesting and very active with their websites, and that does play into how you get ranked and the types of traffic that you get.
Yeah, I mean, as far as being able to go ahead and create content at scale, I think it's like so many other tools and ideas that have come along over the years of, hey, we're going to go ahead and use this because it's going to make things easier, and they start producing lots of content. And I've seen the numbers where it has gone up, but potentially the algorithms start picking up on it. The reason being is because if you're talking about some of these big search engines, they of course have technology where they can go ahead and identify AI generated content. Now, Google said they don't have a problem with it as long as it's useful out there. But like you're saying, some of these companies are just building out so much content and getting it out there, and they'll probably get short term because, again, that's what was happening. Everybody was using it, everybody was seeing results. Everybody started to run in that direction of, hey, let's put all of this on our website. And I've seen the numbers where they've gotten that peak and it started going down. So what you're going to find is that the AI tools are great. I'm going to say AI a lot during this conversation, but they're great, but I wouldn't use them just for creating content. They should be there to help assist you, not do it for you.
I agree.
That's my opinion. One man's opinion of it.
No, I agree. I definitely agree with that. I think it can streamline a lot of the process, and I do think there's people can overpost. Right. I saw a case study of somebody that posted like 100,000 blogs in a year for a moderate sized company, and I was like, what kind of mess is that, right? And so you want to be able to cover all of your kind of keyword themes, right? Your kind of pillars, right? And so what are the within your pillars, like what are the kind of the iterations of each keyword, and how do you cover all of that? But I don't think that there's like a magic number, but I think that like having a more active website, a reasonably active website puts you in a better light that Google keeps coming back to you if you're not just doing one blog post a month, where you're like doing something a couple a week, kind of situation performance.
I have no problem, by the way, with putting out a lot of content, but I'd rather see content that was written by a person with all of its, grammatical inaccuracies, which again, I would use an AI to help me. Hey, help me refine this sentence. Let me go ahead and use it for outlines. But I'd rather see that, and I think we'll see proof positive from that from the search engines over time that actual written content will outperform just straightforward AI generated. Yeah. And that's my prediction for this upcoming year. We're going to definitely have a lot of data to be able to sort through on that.
A lot of it. Yeah. I mean, for those people that know me, they know I've been a nightclub DJ or a DJ and party DJ in general for the last 30 some years. And, it's funny when I go out to events, if I hear somebody play a DJ set in a big club, and there's no, it's completely perfect. I'll know that that's a pre-recorded set usually, right? Yeah. Like I want to hear the occasional slip up, or maybe just that kind of like part of a second off, right? And it doesn't have to be like a full train wreck of a mix, but it's like I want to know that the person is actually kind of mixing that, and it's not a pre-recorded kind of set that they're working from, that they actually are a human kind of like mixing the music. And so the same thing with content, right? Like fully automated is not the way to go, but I think that there's a level of that. It's been very helpful from helping to create content plans and briefs and all of those things.
Right.
How are you leveraging AI within Ahrefs? Like what are some of the things that you're using AI for in terms of making the product better?
We've been very selective on where we've added in any AI assisted tools, and probably some of the newer things that have come out is being able to go ahead and determine intent of keywords, if you're going to go ahead and go after a keyword phrase and you put it into our platform, you're going to be able to run an analysis on the pages that are actually succeeding for that. AI will go ahead and read through. It used to be I'd tell people, look at the top 3 pages on Google, read each article and try to have an understanding of what the important topics were on that and what the intent of those pages are. We actually have a tool within our SERP overview that will go ahead and do that analysis for you, saving that's where AI should come in, to be able to save me time in doing what I need to do. And it'll allow you to be able to look through and see the commonality of the major topics. It'll give you more keyword information, but it really comes down to the topic so that you can write better, optimized, SEO-friendly content. Yeah, so that's the majority of where our AI tools are coming in. We have it in a few places with a content writing assistant. Again, it's not writing it for you. It's going to go ahead and measure and give you feedback on, are you optimizing it well for this particular term or set of terms?
Yeah. What else? What are you seeing? How are you seeing people leverage the tool, right? Like, are there any specific areas that, as you're having conversations or you're giving demos, that that you think are most worthwhile, or like what's kind of a hidden gem within Ahrefs that people like aren't paying full attention to?
Man, boy, I'm trying to go through the list in my mind on this one, but oftentimes you'll find the competitor analysis, being able to put in your competitors and be able to see what keywords they're ranking for as a group. So, for example, if I had an e-commerce website, I would load in my top 10 competitors and see what keywords they're ranking for and that they have commonality in. Because content strategy is one of those situations where you're putting out content, you're creating pages, you're creating, loading products and so forth. But if you're able to see that 5 of my competitors are trying to rank for these 15 keywords and I'm not even showing up for that's one of the big signals to you. You may want to take a closer look at that. Maybe you don't provide that product, or for whatever reason it's not been on your radar, but at least it brings it to your attention and it gives you actionable data to be able to go ahead and continue doing your research. It isn't just a matter of, I put in a keyword and I got 150,000 keywords back with matching terms. We, of course, have great tools and filters for being able to work on that. But knowing my industry, my competitors are trying to rank for this, is this something that I should be going for as well? That's probably one of the biggest use cases I'm recommending when I'm talking to especially e-commerce companies.
Yeah. Well, I think, sites that have big catalogs especially, like working to optimize those catalogs, like working to think about which keywords are they ranking for, like looking at that competitive research is something that we do pretty regularly. A lot of people aren't creating unique content for their product pages. They're not creating unique content for their category pages, for their product listing pages. And so, as we're kind of going through our steps to optimize a site, it's, have we eliminated, are we comfortable with the score that comes back? Have we fixed all the kind of technical kind of issues that are preventing the spider from kind of completing to be able to scan the site? Have we created unique content for category pages? Is there enough content on the category pages? Which product pages, should have, high amounts of content? How are you linking your blog pages, connecting your blog pages to your product pages, right? It's another problem that retailers and brands have, is that they have an active blog, but they haven't figured out how to merchandise within the blog to drive traffic and create any sales from that, right? They're going to create this content, but it's not really connected to anything or moving any part of their sales funnel. There's lots of ways, like fundamentally out of the gate, to be able to help make a difference. And we've seen significant results just by going in and fixing some of those items pretty quickly and getting them moving.
I'm really glad to hear you talking about blogs when we're talking about online stores. It's something that like I said, I've had so many conversations over the years. A lot of e-commerce websites usually have a blog, but it's not been something that they've found value in because they're trying to drive traffic directly to their products. And I always see it as probably one of the biggest opportunities out there for e-commerce stores, because if you look at the search results, you'll oftentimes find that there's certain keywords that you'll find category pages and product pages in the top 10 results of Google. You'll find other matching terms that are not completely transactional in nature that are extremely related and would be a great pass through of course, I want to go ahead and do research on the best bird feeders for hummingbirds, because that's probably going to be a blog article that's out there ranking for it. And so it's really great to hear you say that. I rarely hear anybody who talks about, online stores and blogs together. So that's usually one of my biggest recommendations to companies is get your blog going and improve it, because there's so many benefits to it.
Yeah. And so it's intriguing, so some of the major platforms like just Shopify and BigCommerce, right, that we work with, Shopware, like sometimes it's a commerce engine first, right, and a blog engine 69th, right? And so how do you, I know that we've made some enhancements to how we implement blogs with certain widgets to be able to monetize products right out of the catalog with calls to action right in their blog posts. It makes it very easy to kind of create that kind of hook and get it there. And so you should be making driving revenue from those blog posts, right? Now, some of your blogs might be very, very, very top of the funnel to build awareness about your organization, about your company, about your brand, about your products. So they may be kind of like low intent, like high volume keywords. But if you can figure out how to get those SEO clicks into your Klaviyo welcome series, right, to be able to collect that email address, or with your retargeting and remarketing programs, right, you can figure out how to take advantage of that and maybe get them back to your site a second time or a third time, and eventually you hook them into a purchase. But you've got to have, we're kind of thinking about like high volume, low intent words, but what are the low volume, high intent words that also drive conversions? We had a brand that we worked with that had a random, they ranked for a very random keyword kind of adjacent to their industry, but they could have assembled a handful of their own products to kind of meet this term that people were looking for. And they got, I think they were getting 600,000 visits a month to this like one blog post. It was absolutely astronomical. And they had never worked to monetize that. I would have, if I would be ranking for it was a how to make something, and it's like their products could be used to make this thing, I would have put together a package with here's the kit to make this thing, and then they probably would have sold 50 or 100 grand, of those a year, at least enough to pay for their content marketing effort, right, or part of their content marketing efforts, or having a videographer, right, being able to drive revenue from that. And that's something that people just don't pay attention to.
again, for the blogs, there's so much that benefit that you can get from it. Years ago, I was doing research for a client. So I'm not talking about the client. I'm talking about when I was doing the research, I was looking at the competition that was out there, and I ran into a website. They were an e-commerce website. They sold sandblasting. Somebody will probably end up finding it, but again, not related to me. But one of the genius things that I found is that they had realized that the top of the funnel, that research of people who do sandblasting are usually people who looking to start their own small business doing sandblasting. So what did they do? They didn't just do a blog. They actually did a whole another subset of their website, not just how to start a business, but they actually provided starter packages on how to start a sandblasting and told you all of the things that you needed to do. And of course, you can buy our product that's right over here. They got so much content, so many backlinks to both sides of the website. It was just pure genius. I love when I see strategy like that. So sometimes you're doing research like that and it can expand
Yeah.
even beyond that.
Well, they're just not most brands in general, most brands or manufacturers in general are not creating
Mhm.
a community around their commerce, right? And that's a pure example there of they took people had a desire like to get into this business, they just didn't know how to do it. You kind of
Mhm.
broke it down, you gave it to them, you kind of gave them some steps to that, and it's like, all right, well, here's what you need to start, and again, like I would, if it was me, I'd be like, here's what you need to get started. Here's what you need to, what you need to get your business going, right? The kinds
Right.
of documents, templates you may need, or the types of things. Like you could very, very easily create a very straightforward and campaign that would with content and video
Right.
that would really just do very, very well. And so, and I purchase from sites that I learn from. I'll actually, I have a certain buyer persona, but like I will spend more like to buy something. I will spend reasonably more to buy something from a site that does better educating me and
Hmm.
providing me the information that I need to go forward than going and get it from the cheapest, like lowest vendor, right? Because I want to support the people that are going to educate me, help me grow, help me learn. That's both personally and professionally.
Right.
That I think about that. If you've put the time in to creating videos on YouTube, I'll use your affiliate links all day to buy this stuff and rock and roll with it, right? And happily do that.
And I have to pat our team on the back here at Ahrefs. Years ago, they made a concerted effort for YouTube and for our blog to be number one in the industry for both of those. And I can't tell you the value that that has carried forward over the years of confidence, of building that community, and just loyalty of customers who not only love our product, but love that we're very active with SEOs and with digital marketers worldwide. So
Yeah.
yeah, there's a ton of value, and it's kind of sad sometimes only because you take e-commerce as an example. Oh, who would be our community? Would they be really interested? I can't believe how many niches I've found out there where people are gung-ho and excited about products that you just wouldn't think, because we're not limited to localization anymore. We put something out there, we don't have to worry about maybe they'll sign up for the newsletter. There's so many different avenues to be able to reach out to your community. Just the United States alone, people who are interested in that will eventually find you if you're putting out that proper content there.
So, you just got back from Singapore, a couple weeks ago or so for your big user event. Like, were there any big topics of note that people wanted to talk about while they were there?
Uh, Probably one of the bigger things is that, all of the changes with Google that's occurred. That was top of mind for everybody. One of I think it was Cyrus Shepard did a great talk on that helpful content update that had occurred, and
Hmm.
basically the joke about Reddit, basically taking over all of the search results that are out there, and what's going to be the future involved with that. And it really comes down to, I believe that things are going, we're already starting to see some of the algorithm changes where, Reddit isn't conquering every single
Yeah.
every single search result anymore. But between AI and Google's algorithm update, those were probably two of some of the hottest topics that were out there.
That's cool. That's cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's people like there's just it's good to see some of the shift in evolution of the algorithm. Anytime those things happen, it's both positive and negative generally, but
Mhm.
it's being able to kind of maneuver through those changes overall. What's kind of coming next for Ahrefs as a product? Is there anything that you mind sharing, or like that? I'm not asking you to kind of go
Yeah.
behind the curtain, but is there anything like that's been recently launched, or that's public and coming soon that you can share with our audience?
Yeah, at the Evolve conference, we actually made the announcement about our always on audit
Okay.
and what that involves. We're finding that with the market out there, more customers are looking for not just to know about issues on their website, but actual monitoring that can occur. And what happens with this new always on site audit that will be coming out very soon is it's going to allow you to be able to be notified of any changes that are occurring on the website. We're actually utilizing Index Now, and if you're not familiar with them, that they're a service that's out there that will go ahead and update search engines whenever something
Okay.
changes on your site, whether you're adding a new page or you're making changes to pages, and it's being submitted directly to the search engines. Well, we here at Ahrefs, we built a search engine a few years back called yep.com. We're actually registered with them. So as changes are being submitted, we're actually getting the feedback data from that. And we're going to be able to almost in real time be able to update, especially for e-commerce websites. The larger the website, the more that you can benefit from it. Because if there's something that's going on with your website, you want to know sooner rather than later, rather than a month later looking in Google Search
Right.
Console and seeing those drops that are occurring because somebody no indexed 100 of your pages and
Right.
so forth. So
Right. And
we're
that's
we're
happened,
starting
by
to
the
get
way. We've
into.
seen it happen, but we've seen those types of things happen, and people come to us like crying of like, hey, what happened to what's going on with our site? Not current customers of ours, of course, but like, people
Mhm.
coming to us and saying, can you help us with this?
Right. And so what happens is we're able to go ahead and give that feedback loop is what it comes down to. It's going to be something that's very fast. And along with that, we're actually even starting to work with being able to make update changes to your website through our site audit. And what this will allow for is, for example, if you have Cloudflare and you're using Cloudflare workers, our platform doesn't have to touch your website. It would be able to go in and make changes via those workers in on I think they're called edge servers, and basically present to Google and to the public those changes without ever having to touch your website. A lot of I have more technical people on my team who could explain it better than I can, but it's getting ready to come out, and it's pretty exciting.
That's cool. Yeah, 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 yeah. And aren't you doing some web analytics stuff as well?
We just launched that as well for people who don't. You can still have Google Analytics on your website, but we've launched a web analytics where basically you'll be able to see right within our platform how the website's performing, page source, pages, how active. We're going to be building that out over time, but it's even available on our free version right now so that people can log in, set up, and they've
Oh,
got
cool.
basically an analytics monitoring that's going to be going on. There's a lot of great things that are going to come out associated with that, but right now it's very basic, very simple. But yeah, we're trying to be that all-in-one digital marketing solution, marketing intelligence.
Nice. Very nice. Very nice. Yeah, I mean, I think that there's nobody likes GA4, like nobody likes GA4, right?
I'm glad you said that and not me.
Yeah. I can say it. Like fuck GA4, basically, is like what I want to say. You can bleep that out, Spencer. One of the things is that, and there was an entire session around this at PubCon, and there's some conspiracy theories on what's happening and why they got rid of GA. Right, first off, to kind of destroy all of like literally 90% of the internet of websites on the internet use GA, right? So it's a tremendous amount of data. And so there's some rabbit holes out there about why they got rid of it and how they're leveraging Google's leveraging Chrome to basically spider websites for their index. It's very, very fascinating to get into. It's much deeper than I'd want to get into on today on the podcast. But there's a very fascinating video from this presentation online. It's like, wow, this is like some interesting stuff. So it's very cool to see all these new types of product improvements. I know that I'm excited for the always on audits. I see the buttons kind of starting to like be faded out within the app. So excited for all that to come. I guess, one question that I like to ask every guest is that if you could give one tip to a brand or manufacturer to grow, what would you recommend to them?
Okay, are we talking about search engine optimization
from SEO, right? One thing to look at that, in terms of, if you have 100 sales conversations, is there a common tip that you would give folks, that you commonly give folks as you're going through your enterprise conversations?
Yeah, boy, again, so many to choose from. However, success, being able to go ahead and find successes out there. A lot of people spend a lot of time researching their own website. I really wish people would spend more time doing competitive analysis, knowing so much about your competitors out there, what's working for them, how are they driving traffic? Can we go ahead and, again, reverse engineer their strategy? I really wish people would spend more time doing that type of analysis because, again, that information's available out there. It's not like 15 years ago when it was really hard to understand. You definitely have data. You've got all sorts of ways to analyze those competitors, and being able to figure out where their traffic is coming from. So that's my recommendation. I would pick the top 3 competitors and know their websites as well as I know my own, and you wouldn't believe the opportunities that you'll uncover by doing so.
Awesome. That is a great tip and something that I wholeheartedly agree with. And we're, a couple things here. If you're a brand or manufacturer and you don't want to know how the sausage is made, you can reach out to us and we'll do a free SEO audit for you. We'll take a look at things. We'll look at your website. We'll provide recommendations. And even if you give us 3 or 4 competitors, we can tell you how they're doing and what they're doing that's different from your overall strategy. And so we'd love to talk to you and just fill out the form on the page for this blog, or this podcast. So really, really appreciate it, Rob. Really appreciate you spending the time with us today to talk about SEO. Again, to all of our listeners, just remember that we're a video first podcast. So go on over to our YouTube page at Groove Commerce. Give us a like, give us a comment, give us a subscribe, please. And if you think you'd be a great guest on eCommerce Masters, don't hesitate to reach out to us. Rob, if people want to reach you online, where can they find you? LinkedIn?
LinkedIn is a fantastic place to find me. That's where I post the most. I don't know why everybody finds their social media spot, but that seems to be mine.
Nice. Not Friendster.
I don't even know what that is.
Yes.
Is that old or new?
It's old. It is old. It is old. You never know these days, but it's old. It's old. Yeah, it's very old. Yeah.
Okay, I got you. Again, 12 years ago, I got into digital marketing. I have no idea how old
it's
that
well
is.
Before that. I'm showing my age.
Okay.
I'm showing my age. I'm showing my age. Well, Rob, thank you very much for taking the time today. And, we wish you a great 2025.
Same here. And thanks so much for having me today. Thanks.